So when PB first said that, I thought it was a joke. Then the next day I got a text and I got to thinking about it, and it's like, that is a good idea. And now that I'm here and you are here, I'm questioning how good of an idea it was. And I've already told Mr. Ryan, feel free to correct. I hope he doesn't have to spend too much time of his time correcting what I say today. For those of you that may be new with us, don't know, we encourage you as the body to go out and talk to people and witness to people. That being said, we want to equip you to be prepared for when you're talking to people of different faiths. So we came up with the idea to do what we call bite-sized apologetics. Just a little short snippet on different topics to kind of give you a background of what someone may believe that you're talking to. So that being said, obviously today we're doing Judaism. A lot of times I will try to have resources linked on our website that you can go to and dig deeper. Today I'm not going to have too many resources because basically I used World Religions in a Nutshell by Ray Comfort, which I've used many times before. Ray is Jewish, and he has a chapter on Judaism in here. I looked at a couple of Jewish websites to try to find out what they believe, and then I've used a lot of my own personal experiences of talking with different Jewish people to put this talk together. So I want to start out by making a distinction between the Jewish people and Judaism. And there is a difference. To be a Jewish person, basically your mother has to be Jewish, and it has to be the mother. The father is not quite as important, but as long as your mother is Jewish, you are Jewish. It is an identity, basically. And if you practice the faith, that is the Judaism faith, anybody can practice that. And not necessarily all Jewish people practice the Jewish faith. Now within the Judaism faith, you have a wide range of belief systems, just like in what we would, speaking generally, the Christian church. On one end, you have the Orthodox Jewish believers. You'll recognize them with the yarmulke, the prayer shawl, basically their attire, and they're going to be similar to our legalistic, fundamentalist, unbiblical Christians. It's all going to be about the works of what I do. On the other end, you're going to have the Reform Judaism, not to be confused with the Reformed Church in Christianity that is Calvinistic. This is more of the liberal, unbiblical, choose your own belief kind of a system. What works for me, and it is still under the banner of Judaism. Then you will have the conservative branch, which was not Orthodox, but they are more conservative than the liberal, and they're kind of fall somewhere in between. And outside of that, you're going to have a wide range of varying beliefs. To the point of one day I was operating a flight out of New York, and we were sitting at the gate, we're boarded up, and we were delayed. And the flight attendant comes up like, hey, we have 4 people back here that they want to know if we're going to be on the ground by sunset. And right away, I'm thinking they're probably Jewish, and come to find out they were Jewish, and they needed to be off the aircraft. I think the Sabbath started at sunset, so they had to be off the airplane. So I started out telling them, yeah, we're going to be fine. We should be there in plenty enough time. Well, we kept getting delayed until we finally got to the point that there is no way we're getting there on time. So I told the flight attendant, hey, let them know, we are not, I apologize, we're not going to get there before sunset. So of the 4 people, 2 got off and stayed in New York, and 2 went with us and got there after sunset. And they were all traveling together. So the belief system is going to vary even within, the same congregation, so to speak. So then even among the Jewish people that don't practice Judaism, they will still have some level of the Jewish practice almost like built in, kind of like the way what I would call in Christianity, we have the twice-a-year Christian, where they show up on Easter and show up on Christmas, and that's it. Well, within the Jewish people, Yom Kippur is the most holy day of the year. I think the government shuts down and everything. The whole country shuts down. It is the most holy day of the year. So they will, which is coming up next week, they will celebrate, even if they're not a practicing of the Jewish faith, they will celebrate Yom Kippur, and they will also celebrate Passover. Those are going to be the 2 most, I think Passover is the most popular, and then Yom Kippur is the most holy, and then they will have a varying level of how much they celebrate Among that, I had a guy tell me one time, he goes, we could sum up the feast easily. They attack us, we win, we eat. So God really told me that once. So looking into their beliefs, it is kind of hard to nail down exactly what they believe because their beliefs vary so much, but this is kind of a general consensus. They are monotheistic. They believe in one God, but they don't believe in a triune God. Obviously, they believe in a one monotheistic God. He was a creator God the way we would believe. He has no equal, he has no rival, and he also has no children, which is kind of very important. He is a spirit without gender and can manifest himself, per one of the websites I looked at, he can manifest himself with masculine and feminine qualities. Salvation for them is by works. I ask people a lot, what do you think happens when you die? Well, they will not necessarily think about that much because per their belief system, if you're basically a good person, you're going to go to heaven for the most part. Now, if you adhere to the Jewish faith, you will be closer to God and you can get closer to God, but that is not necessarily needed to go to heaven. It is just, if you're basically good, you'll go to heaven. They do not believe in hell the way we believe in hell. They believe, once again, in a wide range of beliefs. Some may believe in annihilation. One website said they believe in Sheol, but I'm not sure what happens when you go to Sheol. And I think some is kind of like a state of Jewish purgatory. So there's a wide range of beliefs. As far as the Messiah, they obviously do not believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They are still waiting on their Messiah. He is going to come and set up a kingdom on earth and rule from Jerusalem. So it's going to be more of a governmental reign than what we're looking at for the God of the universe coming in and setting up his government. As far as their scriptures, they would have what we would consider the Old Testament. But don't fall into the trap that I've fallen into before and just assume, hey, you're Jewish, you must know, because they don't necessarily know. They believe, per the one website, they believe that you can only understand the written Torah by the oral Torah. In other words, what the scribes teach them holds more value than what is written in Scripture. So it's based on what the rabbis. What the rabbis teach them is more important than what they read in the Scripture. And once again, don't assume that they, just because they're Jewish or even practicing the Jewish faith, that they know what we would think they should know. Now, the Orthodox Jews, they probably will be more familiar with their scriptures, but other than that, don't. I heard Mark Cahill tell a story one time. He ran into 4 or 5 Jewish young men, and he offered them, I'll give you $20 for each book of the Torah you can name. He said he ended up giving $20, and that was it. So because they rely basically on what the rabbis teach them, and they don't necessarily adhere to the scriptures like we do, that's why you get the wide varying belief system within the umbrella of Judaism. So now when you're talking to the Jewish people, some things to think about is always have a conversation. Ask them questions, find out what they believe. And consider what you're going to say. And do not hear me saying be ashamed of the gospel. Absolutely not. But keep in mind that we don't want to convert them because they are God's chosen people. And from their viewpoint, why do I want to leave Judaism since we are God's chosen people? Also, there has been some very bad things done to the Jewish people in the name of Christianity. So when they hear Christian, you're automatically, that raises a red flag, and they're already questioning what you have to say. So Hitler, from their perspective, Christians and Catholicism were complicit with Hitler and the Holocaust. So that's another strike against us as we come in and say, we're Christians, we want to convert you. We do not want to do that approach. Just have a conversation with them. Also, from their perspective, they don't see any difference between Christianity and Catholicism. It's all lumped together. So in obviously Catholicism, you have the Pope, you have Mary, you have the statue. So we as Christians, we worship a man, we bow to Mary, we bow to idols. God says, you should have no other gods before me. Do not make any graven image. So they're seeing these things, and we're just all lumped together. So what I would personally do, have a conversation with them. Take them through the law, the Ten Commandments. Once again, don't assume that they're going to know them. They may or they may not. And ask them, how can God, God can't just forgive you, but they will probably likely say, well, God is just and God is merciful. And they are correct. God is just and merciful, but not with the implications that they're implying that he will just forgive us. Because if God is truly just, he has to punish us for the sins that we've committed. And we need to point that out, like God can't just forgive us. He's just. The penalty has to be paid. Then if you're able, take them to the Old Testament and show them Messiah in their scriptures. Isaiah 53, they will probably have not heard about that, but it talks about the suffering servant that suffered and died for our sins. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him. And then if you have the opportunity, take them to the New Testament. And I understand and I know that they're not going to hear you, but I've told them before, like, hey, the New Testament, I understand you don't believe what's being written here, but it was written by Jewish people. So check out, what's being said here. So, and I just try to leave them with the question, don't force anything on them. Hey, consider this. If God is just, how can he let sin go unpunished? He can't just forgive it. Ask them questions, talk to them, and basically just try to point them to the Messiah in the scriptures instead of the Messiah they've been told about through their rabbis. Like I said, I don't have a lot to link to, but I will have Chosen People Ministries website. They have a good page on there on how to talk with Jewish people. Brings up some of the things that I've talked about. Once again, Ray Comfort's book is a great book. And go out and talk to people and do like I did, learn the hard way. Thank you.